So before we can delve too far into the science of statistics, we need to, again, go through a few more definitions. So sources of data, populations versus samples. So a population is a set of data that contains all items or people of interest. It is a collection of all data values that will ever occur for a group. It's often difficult to obtain all of this information. So when we're thinking about populations, we do want to understand kind of the key word that we're focusing on here is the word all. Right? So all items in a group or all people of interest. It can be difficult if we are able to gather numerical information about this. Our numerical information about a population is called a parameter. Okay. Now, instead of looking at our entire group, we might be focusing on a smaller group or a subset of the population being studied. So a sample is a subset of the population being studied. It represents the population at large. It's easier to obtain this information because it's coming from a smaller group. And a statistic is a numerical value that characterizes some aspect of the sample. Right? So our population deals with all of the items or people of interest, and our numerical values that go with populations are parameters, and samples are subsets of our population, and the numerical value that goes with samples are statistics. Statisticians often use samples to make predictions concerning the population. So sometimes a statistic is referred to as an estimator because it is used to estimate the value of a parameter. So we often use our statistics from our samples to estimate populations in our proportions. Right, so in these first couple of examples down at the bottom, we're going to go through and talk a little bit more about our populations or samples. So in example 1, label each of the following as the sample or the population in the given scenario. All students at SSC versus all students taking math at SSC. Our larger group is going to be all students at South Suburban. So that is going to be our population. And all students taking math at SSC is going to be our smaller subset of the group. That is going to be our sample. Right. In B, all students at SSC versus all community college students in Illinois. Here, all community college students in Illinois is our larger group. That is our population. And our smaller subset is going to be our sample. All right, so looking at one last example, a researcher is interested in studying the heights of American women. She takes a random sample of 1,500 American women and finds the mean height of the sample is 63.6 inches. Determine the sample and the statistic. So the sample is the 1,500 American women sampled. The statistic is the mean height of the 1,500 women sampled is 63.6 inches. So again, our statistic is our numerical value that goes with our sample. The researcher may estimate that the mean height of all American women is 63.6 inches. So we may use our statistic from our sample to generalize something about our entire population or all women in the United States.